Okay, this is my second video of today that I'm going to record. So we're switching gears from talking about race to talking about gender politics, which ironically enough sometimes involves race. But here we're going to try to skip all that. And it's just like for a second, right? I don't want to talk to, women when I say this. I just want to talk about this masculinity, this crisis, this red pill shit, this so-called manosphere, and why I dislike this shit, and why I'm glad I walked away from it when I was younger when I did. And I don't understand how can any of you men, right? And this is without listening to women. This is without their analysis or anything that this woman is about to say. These people clearly in that sphere don't give a fuck about working class men, yet y'all support these guys, and I really don't understand why. These people advocate for nothing but the persecution and subjugation of people that aren't like you, and don't actually ever talk about policies or practices that can ever fucking help you. These people are stupid degenerates. Some of them, like Andrew Tate, is a accused rapist and a sex trafficker. You got Clavicular, who's a fucking stupid insecure brat who looks like a fucking blow up doll. He ironically looks like one of the fucking porn dolls that people, or that the manosphere say that they hate. Speaking of which, fuck Fresh and Fit. I'm not saying women that do pornography can't be smart, but it's just like kind of funny to me that you never bring on a sociologist or political science major to debate social issues. You're talking to a bunch of fucking OnlyFans bimbos. That's really fucking convenient for you. So you can get them drunk, cuss them out, and then all the fucking men in your audience want. No, this is the only reason why they take the fucking berating. Go subscribe to their content in their fucking DMs, calling them mommy and sending them money and shit. And it's like with how like the rest, because these people don't talk about anything that actually helps men. They don't talk about union participation. They don't rail against economic inequality. They don't talk about busting monopolies on housing or food production or credit. These motherfuckers do nothing but sit up here and defend the status quo. And in fact, if you bring up points about how men's life can be better through political policy, they try to downplay it, or they try to say, oh, it doesn't work. And that's just certainly not the case. We can make the world a better place, but these people literally and clearly do not give a fuck about men. But somehow I'm supposed to be sitting up here watching Joe Rogan and shit like that. I don't give a fuck about a bunch of UFC niggas with brain damage. Tell me how you're going to make housing more affordable. Like, literally. Like, the politics of these people are just like literally, oh, a woman rejected me on Venice Beach, so then I became a conservative. I got red pill. Like, fuck off with that shit, bro. Really. It's a very stupid ideology for insecure, stupid people. And hey, I'm not even saying women are perfect. Mind you that. Because, some women are total bitches. That's 1000% true. But we can say that some women are bitches while at the same time saying attacking women's rights at the expense of real conversations about economic inequality, education, and the well-being of working class men is not worth it. Men and women at that. And these motherfuckers, but this is the last thing in this digression. They will sometimes say, oh, the women are unhappy after the sexual revolution. But it's like everybody's unhappy across the board because the social problems and the capitalism is tearing everybody the fuck apart. So if you're a man watching this video, you need to stop watching that shit, go shower, find an exercise or a hobby, get a job, and take care of yourself. And actually study and research the problems that you deal with instead of sitting around like a lifeless bitch talking about feminism is why I can't get a girlfriend. And sure, you ain't gonna get a girlfriend overnight, but are you even really trying? But I guess that I'll end a digression there. I just want to get that off my chest about how much I hate the manosphere. Fuck all these people, these science denying Nazi pricks.
I was tagged in this video a few days ago. Take a look.
I don't have any research funding to do quantitative surveys, so you don't have to believe me. But after years of immersing myself nose deep in those brain-rotting internet images and noises, I reached a fairly confident conclusion that American conservative voters no longer care about the economy.
They never did.
What is the most salient societal conflict in the present-day America based on the distribution of internet traffic? I believe it's a conflict between men who can't handle being single and women who won't put up with shitty partners. Their conflict totally overshadows the traditional economic camps.
This is a guy named Huey Lee. He has a PhD in political science from the University of California at Davis. I've never heard of this guy. He wrote a book called Dividing the Rulers: How Majority Cycling Saved Democracy. But it's an interesting thesis he has, so I wondered if it's true. Based on internet traffic, as in what people want to talk about or hear or read what others have to say about it, the real issue that American conservatives have with the state of our nation is that not enough men have the ability to exploit the labor of a woman by means of marriage and children. And women vote primarily to protect themselves from men and that exploitation. So let's talk about it. Before we get started, you know what to do. Love or hate, like and share, because the algorithm does not care. American conservatives do care about the economy. They do. That is the annoying little factual obstacle standing in the way of this thesis on its face. Polling is very clear on that point. In October 2024, Gallup found that the economy ranked as the most important issue influencing registered voters' presidential choice.
We're going to get to it a little bit later, but it's clear that any American conservative doesn't give a fuck about the economy when this is the same group of people that make literal excuses for economic inequality will tell you it's your fault and you need to just fucking work harder. So, you know, I'm not saying it to her, but any conservative that's ever said that can miss me with that shit. Harris literally had better plans for the economy. We had to spend 6 or 7 months arguing with people trying to tell motherfuckers that tariffs were going to raise prices in America, but they wouldn't listen. They were up here bullshitting. Oh, it's not going to raise prices. It's going to bring money back to American people. We're going to get our Doge checks. We're going to get our tariff refunds. And guess what? Almost 2 years later, we haven't gotten a damn thing. These people don't care about the economy, because if they did, they wouldn't be conservatives.
52% saying it was extremely important, and another 38% saying it was very important. Pew Research found something similar. About 81% of registered voters said the economy would be very important to their 2024 presidential vote. But that does not mean the economy is always about the economy. When American conservative voters say they care about the economy, they're often talking about something broader than wages, prices, jobs, housing, healthcare, or material security. They're talking about a social order. They are talking about who deserves comfort, who deserves authority, who deserves sympathy, who is talking too much, who is being rewarded unfairly, and who has lost the status that they believe they were promised. In that sense, the economy becomes the respectable public language for a much deeper anxiety, the waning of the old hierarchy. That's why economic complaints on the right so easily collapse into immigration panic, anti-feminism, anti-trans rhetoric, resentment towards wokeness, hostility to DEI programs, and fantasies of restored masculine authority. These are not separate grievances. They are different doors.
Like, literally, these people are literally mad because they see, you know, other people, right? They see, especially black people, white women, even their own women. That's what's fucked up about that. Hispanic individuals and whatever with good jobs and very lucrative careers while they're sitting at home living off their parents. Because they're not surviving in the system often at the time that they propped up. Best believe it. A lot of issues that she's going to bring up later has expanded among men, but especially young white men, like not having direction in life, unemployment, drug abuse, suicide. And it's all because these people don't want to put in the work to make themselves better people, because they think that they should just be that way because they're white or because they're a man. Because you got a lot of because I'm not letting these people off the hook. These black conservatives who are no red pillars talking about black single moms all the time. A lot of those motherfuckers are the same kind of losers
that lead into the same house. The cleaner, more precise version of Huey Lee's thesis is this: American conservatism still talks about the economy, but its emotional center of gravity is grievance. And in the current online attention economy, one of the loudest and most politically useful grievances is the conflict between men who experience women's independence as abandonment and women who no longer see male partnership as worth tolerating disrespect, exploitation, or control. So it's not that conservative voters literally do not care about the economy, because they clearly do. The argument is that their economic concerns are frequently filtered through cultural resentment. Sure, they care about prices, but they also care about...
Yeah, they care about prices in the extent that it'll make things more expensive for black people. That's literally what these people think and why they defend these terrible economic policies, right? Because they want people that they view as under them or slightly below them to struggle, because they think to themselves that they have it all figured out. And a lot of these guys, ironically enough, that follow these podcasts don't have shit figured out for themselves at all. But hey, I'm just a guy.
About who they believe has been allowed to move ahead of them. They care about jobs, but they also care about whether their social position still comes with automatic deference. They care about inflation, but they also care about whether the world still feels organized around them. White men, basically.
Pathetic.
This is clear in Gallup's issue tracking. In March 2024, when Americans were asked to name the most important problem facing the country, 52% of Republicans named immigration as the nation's top problem. That was not a small side concern. It was their dominant, unprompted answer. Later that year, Gallup found that 35% of Republicans and Republican-leaning independents named the economy as the most important factor in their presidential vote, compared with only 7% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents.
And this is why I understand that these researchers ask them questions arbitrarily, but in this context, right, this is why you ask people follow-up questions. Anyway, if you're ever debating a conservative, a video about that coming out at some point, you ask them, oh, I didn't like Joe Biden's economy. Be more specific. Because what's ironic now, looking in hindsight, everything under Trump's first 2 years is worse than even Biden had in his first 2 years. We finally got the economy cleaned up until Trump fucked it up again. So what specifically is bad about the economy under Democrats? I need that broken down to me. These people would be talking, yeah, and then they'll say some shit. I ain't gonna even lie, because they'll have an answer. They'll be like, oh, the taxes are higher. And then they don't even own a business or a house or any property themselves. But maybe one day I'll be rich, and then people like me better watch out as logic.
That combination matters. The conservative voter is not simply saying, I'm worried about my grocery bill. What they're really saying is, I am worried.
Are black people worried about their grocery bill? You know, that's what they really want to say. Like, I don't care if my groceries are more expensive, but if black people have to pay more in groceries, yeah.
The country is being taken from people like me. Immigration, inflation, housing, crime, gender politics, race, and national identity, all these things get braided together into one emotional narrative of displacement. This is how reactionary politics works. They're not going to straight up just say, I miss being dominant. Instead, they're going to say things like, everything is too expensive. Nope.
Yeah, it's called dog whistling, right? It's dog whistle politics, where instead of saying racist things or bigoted things, misogyny directly out loud, because you know that shit is politically untenable and people, even other misogynists, will call you out for it, they try to sell their bigoted talking points in covered ways. Like, she's 100% right. This kind of reminds me about something I want to digress about, where we call Charlie Kirk a racist, right? When Charlie Kirk's entire career was dog whistling, not even just against black people, but just about every minority group, like racist things, anti-Semitism, Science denial, homophobia, transphobia, misogyny. He was like a dog whistle machine. This dude would literally come up on stage, say he loves black people, and then start talking about black on black crime and murders in Chicago last night or some shit like that. So, yeah, black people and other minority groups know what dog whistles sound like. Like, she's, I'm sure, going to break down. But I always kind of find it funny that they're talking about something, what was the context to what Charlie said? But it's like, we don't need more context. And in fact, sometimes when you add more context, that makes it more racist. So, yeah. End of that digression, but it's just like, that's always kind of a weird thing about Charlie Kirk, where they try to say he never said anything racist.
No one wants to work anymore. Masculinity is under attack. Women have become too picky. Immigrants are taking everything. The elites care more about them than they do about us. That one's actually true. But by elites, I mean billionaires. When they say elites, they mean college professors living on the Upper West Side in Manhattan. That's not the same group. Just
upper middle class people are not the class of people exploiting and destroying the country. These people, in one sentence, bro, because they're such fucking cowards. Because sometimes I argue with these people both on TikTok and in person. Oh, I just don't like the elites. And then it turns out the elites are like science researchers, people that are, like she said, college professors, slightly better off, like young white gay people or something, and then they will glaze up and kiss the ass of people like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos, when these three people that I just named are literally ushering in the destruction of the middle class in America and the very poor. But okay, you care about elites, sure. And then because that's the coward thing that they always say. Well, I don't like elites either, so we should raise the elites' taxes. Well, we shouldn't raise the taxes on people because maybe one day I'll be rich, or they'll stop making jobs and leave. Like, yeah, sure, motherfucker, you're just a coward, and you don't actually care about confronting the real elites because you might wind up making a mistake in helping somebody. You care about, like this lady is saying, maintaining a social hierarchy, not helping people.
FYI, the genius of right-wing politics is that it can take 10 different resentments and combine them into one betrayal. The manosphere is the clearest example of this process. At first glance, the manosphere looks like a dating problem. Men can't get dates. Men are lonely. Men feel sexually rejected. Men believe women's standards are unrealistic. But that's just the entry point. The politics come later, when those personal frustrations are converted into a world view.
And what's even so bad about this, right, as somebody who struggled with dating and relationships in my life, right, I'm not going to say dating and finding a relationship is fair and easy. It's very difficult in the big 26, right? If you're a young man, I'm assuming between like 18 and like 35, and you're trying to find a date or get into a relationship, some women can be very cold and very ignorant, but that doesn't mean that you need to join a fucking Nazi political movement to take away their rights and the rights of everybody else. Like, that's gonna fix the problem and make you more of an attractive person or a better person. No, you're turning yourself into a fucking pariah, a pain in the ass nobody wants to be around. So like, yeah, these political views aren't going to get you anywhere. It won't get us anywhere. It just makes the problem worse. Shit. Why do you think now women are so fucking hardened up? It's because they're afraid that every man is some shithead that got introduced to Fresh and Fit through watching Joe Rogan's podcast on the algorithm, or some random, because it's like YouTube's like so-called moderation is so out of fucking whack, where you look, and this is what got me back when I was younger, when I was watching the Manosphere and shit like that, a little bit at least. You look up one problem with dating and finding a relationship as a young man, and then the next thing you know, you're getting recommended videos from neo-Nazis like Stefan Molyneux. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, bro. And it's like, all these corporations are, of course, complicit in what's happening. Twitter directly, because it's owned by a white supremacist incel, Elon Musk / billionaire too. So he has every incentive to push like race hatred and misogyny and other ignorant shit into the ecosphere of political conversation. But it's like, god damn, bro, this shit is, it's like, and I hate to say it like this, but it's literally scaring the hoes. It kind of reminds me of this one video I saw about this one other Asian guy, not that guy from the beginning, where it said creepy men ruin dating. And as I go out in public and I look at how women behave when men approach them and talk to them, and that even includes black women, y'all niggas have ruined dating. Y'all have made women creeped out, apprehensive, scared, and weirded out at any dude that try to talk to them, regardless of what type of person that he is. Because this ain't even just happening to me. It's even happening to men that are, just more of your typical guy. So it's weird, bro. It's weird. And it's fucked up what y'all have done to dating an interpersonal relationship. And the worst part is, right, get this shit, they continue to do it. They continue to push these stereotypes and this divisive rhetoric and this ignorant bullshit that has made dating so difficult for everybody, and they won't stop saying it. And if you stand up against it, they try to say, oh, you must be gay, you're a simp, and like all these fucking these clever things. And it's like I said, yeah, women can be cold and bitchy at times, but I don't think men joining a neo-Nazi political movement, because that's what the red pill movement is, and the MAGA movement, further on associated, is just the Nazi movement. Let's be fucking real. I don't think that's going to fix dating and relationship problems. That's only going to exacerbate the problem and make it worse and make us all look like assholes.
Man starts out with, women don't choose me. Then the algorithm sends him, women only want high status men.
Yes.
Next thing you know, it becomes, feminism made women entitled. Then it moves to, liberal society hates men. Then it inevitably becomes, the West is collapsing because women have too much freedom. That's the pipeline. The red.
And don't forget, along the way, there also there's neo-Nazi conspiracy theorists, all sorts of white supremacists, like eugenics, hacks and all sorts of shit, just all along the way. And the only thing you typed in on YouTube was dating advice, how to get a girlfriend. And then the next thing you know, you're getting like clip compilations of Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes. But you just wanted to know, how can you put on a nice outfit to be attractive to women? And now you're here.
Pill to alt-right pipeline that everyone's been talking about. The evidence for the scale of this ecosystem isn't just anecdotal. Researchers studying the manosphere analyzed 28.8 million posts across 6 forums and 51 subreddits and found that older, somewhat milder, red pill-ish communities like pickup artists and men's rights activists have increasingly given way to more extreme communities like incels and men going their own way. The same research found substantial migration of active users and concluded that newer manosphere communities were more toxic and more misogynistic than the older ones. They're getting worse. Another large study looking at Reddit and YouTube found substantial overlap between manosphere audiences and alt-right audiences. The researchers found that members of some manosphere communities, especially men's rights activists, were more likely than comparison groups to gradually engage with alt-right content. That is the political significance. The manosphere is not merely men complaining about dating.
Like, I can't say it enough times, and I know at this point I'm agreeing with her, and I'm only probably going to go up to the 10-minute marker because I don't want to content steal, but just like, dude, this is just like so much facts, because back when I was younger, I would look up dating advice because, I was a black nerdy kid, and, didn't really have the most success with women until I even hit my 20s. So I would go on the internet and look up dating advice, and back in the day, they had like Kevin Samuels, Big Boss Calvin 83, Sunrise Hoodie, and then the next thing you know, you're getting recommended videos from Blair White, Steven Crowder, PragerU itself, Ben Shapiro, and then they're telling you all these conspiracy theories about how feminism is this, that, and the other. And I think the only thing that really saved me was my friends and my experiences in public, and given the fact that I started skateboarding. Because I didn't start skateboarding and getting into punk, which is, you know, extremely left leaning, and I didn't like actually meet gay people. I didn't hear people's like humanized stories about why their lives went the way that it went. I would have probably stayed ignorant as hell for years. And I guess with that said, the true cure to the manosphere alt-right pipeline shit is going outside.
Is the bridge between private disappointment and reactionary politics. And the reason this works is because dating is one of the most intimate places where social change becomes emotionally undeniable. It's sitting right there across the table from you. The woman you're out on a date with that's telling you that she just got approved for a mortgage for a 4-bedroom house when you're still living in your mom's basement. You can tell a man that women are equal, and he may agree with you in theory. You can tell him that women have jobs, degrees, our own money, apartments, friend groups, sex toys, group chats, and the ability to leave them if they so desire. And most of them will nod along. But when he goes on a dating app and the women that he wants do not want him back, suddenly feminism stops being an abstract political movement and becomes a personal injury. Yeah.
And I'm also going to talk about that before I go. To any men that are, you know, watching this, or from what she just said, right? Dating apps don't even actually represent your success with dating in the real world, because dating apps are not meant to solve a problem. They're meant to get you to pay for a service. So especially Tinder now, which I recently used, you know, it's like people will like you, right? And if you have like not even that, I think I got like 15 likes or something like that, as far as people that I've spoken to liked me and like actually had a conversation with. And then after a while, it starts hiding people from you that you would like you or that you would get along with. Or they won't show that you like certain women because women are overwhelmed on the apps versus the men. These apps are used so much by men that, you know, we are overrepresented. So it's very rare for you to get a conversation with a woman. That goes for Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. Hinge used to be okay. Hinge is fucked now. You will not get a conversation or a good date off Hinge like that. But the point being is that these dating apps are not meant to solve a problem. They're meant to profit. And the profit is for you buying the coins, you buying the super likes, you buying the roses, whatever, you buying the extra swipes every time. So you're paying like $50 a month, you know, because there's other social problems that lead to these dating apps being lucrative. But it's just like, I'm warning you, these apps do not represent your possible success with women in the real world, because they're designed for profit and not designed to actually get you in a relationship with somebody.
All that feminism, that's okay for women generally, but not my woman. Many left-leaning men also think this way, by the way. The grievance isn't simply that men are single. Plenty of people are single. The grievance is that women are single on purpose. That is what makes the current gender conflict so volatile. Pew found in 2020 that single men were far more likely than single women to be looking for dates or relationships. 61% of single men said they were looking, compared with 38% of single women. That gap tells us something important. A large share of single women are not experiencing singlehood as an emergency. They might want love, companionship, sex, or even partnership, but they're not treating a man as the missing ingredient that makes their lives legitimate. This is a historic, seismic, tectonic shift, you guys.
And ironically enough, and I'm gonna end the video by saying two things. After recently being single myself, I'm sort of learning that as I go too, that outside of women and you know, and everything like that, you do have to learn to enjoy your life and love yourself for what you have and for who you are. You cannot be up here relying on women to validate you all the time, because they don't necessarily have to be there and they're not always going to be there. And I also want to tell a little story about something, a story that we all know, but nonetheless, I think this is worth bringing up at the end of this video, because this is a video of me talking about why I dislike the manosphere. So we know about the Second World War, right? And I'm about to say some stuff that is very inflammatory. I'm about to get really dirty with some of the things I'm about to say in a second. So we've seen a red pill movement in American history, not American history, but in world history in general. It was, or several, as a matter of fact, it was fascist Italy, it was Nazi Germany, it was Imperial Japan, among with other similar movements that happened after, and even technically in Spain. We've seen this before, and guess what we had to do? They created such a ramshack, shitty society, we had to go across the water and bomb and shoot these fuckers. Because, doing what they were doing to their women and to their minority groups wasn't enough. They were spreading their hatred across the world, right? And this hatred wound up consuming the entire population. Millions of men looked at Benito Mussolini, Tojo, and Hitler as these new leaders that was going to restore their masculinity and their place in the world as well. And what did it get them? Shot, full of shrapnel, bombed. And while things in American history right now might not go as bad, we can look at cases of people who have sacrificed everything for these shitty movements. We can look at people like Dylan Roof, and we can look at especially misogynist shooters like Elliot Rodger, who gave his life for nothing. Elliot Rodger is a dumbass who killed himself, got himself shot and chased down by the police, and his sacrifice changed absolutely nothing. So if you don't want to wind up like this, you can subscribe to my YouTube or just start to try to experience life a little better. I really mean it. Take a shower, groom yourself, find an exercise that you like, get outside, introduce yourself to people, and have some fun in life. And participate in real politics that will make your life better, not the politics of grievance and anger that only serves the interest of certain people. This has been Escape Punk Lefty. Have a good one.